They didn't know it was the last time. There was no tragedy. There was no warning. Just a goodbye that became eternal and letters that still walk through a broken world. No one knew it was the last time. Neither he nor she, nor the world, which still breathed normally, unaware that it was their last shared breath. Everything seemed to be going its course. The news repeated headlines in a neutral voice. Drones delivered packages with mathematical precision, and children still played in synthetic parks, unaware that the world's memory was about to fracture. The streets vibrated with artificial noise, planes took off with orbital punctuality, and at the departure terminals, hugs were still given with infinite faith. He was leaving on a short mission. 21 days, nothing more. A work trip. A project in the old continent. She accompanied him to the access limit. The airport was full, but it didn't feel heavy. It was the kind of crowd where no one is seen. They, however, seemed stopped on a different frequency, as if they were the only ones who didn't know they were saying goodbye to the world they knew. They said everything that's said when you believe there will be a return. I'll write as soon as I arrive. Send me a note when you can. I miss you already. They believed they had time. He left in silence. She followed him with her eyes until she lost him in the crowd. And without knowing it, without even suspecting, that this might have been their last time. It was the year 2074. A fast-paced, automated, efficient world, but also fragile, invisible in its vulnerability, and no one saw it coming. The sensors still worked, the city still responded to touch. But beneath the surface, something was already cracking. An imperceptible tremor that, like all important things, made no noise when it began. They were not a common couple. They met in high school, when no one wrote by hand anymore. While their classmates were sending emotional emojis, they exchanged paper notes, when other couples were syncing sentimental calendars with apps. They simply walked together, without a destination, for hours. Their love was an anomaly, something that couldn't be copied or downloaded. It had weight, the smell of old ink, and crumpled edges. It lived in boxes, not in servers. They saved everything. Train tickets, papers with clumsy drawings, loose phrases written on napkins. They had built a physical archive of their love, a rarity, a simple act of faith. In an era where affection was instant and forgetting was scheduled, they resisted. They resisted automated forgetting, loves with an expiration date, the algorithms that decided for you whom to miss and when. And when the signal began to fail, they did not think of catastrophe. Nobody did. It was slow. A drop in messages. Then, video calls began to freeze. Payments stopped processing. In the end, notifications disappeared. At the beginning, experts filled the screens with technical explanations. But behind each sentence slipped a tremor of uncertainty, as if everyone knew without saying it, that this time there would be no restart. There was talk of maintenance failures, low-intensity attacks, temporary errors. But over the days, the world fell. Starlink Plus, the network that supported everything, from banks and hospitals to air routes, collapsed. 94% of global connectivity disappeared in less than a week, and with it, all voices. Governments did not know how to respond, how to react. Theories multiplied. A virus, an uncontrolled artificial intelligence, a deliberate purge. Maps stopped making sense. Emotional compasses broke, and the present, without past or future, remained suspended in an eternal meantime. What was left was a fragmented planet, divided by oceans, languages, silences, and a love completely on hold. They kept trying to communicate. At first they called each other, sent text messages, emails, voice recordings, but nothing went out, nothing arrived. And then, without planning it, both reacted the same. They started to write letters, real letters, by hand, like in the old days, like when they first fell in love. It was an intimate, almost sacred act. Each handwritten letter was a way to remember that they were once two close bodies, not just data-crossing antennas. The ink once again soaked the paper. Waiting became a ritual. Neither knew if their words crossed the ocean or got lost in dead stations, but they just persisted. He sent his from a coastal town, using old mailboxes, hoping that some secondary postal network would bet on keeping the communication active. She, on her part, relied on travelers, sailors, merchants, anyone who somehow claimed to cross that enormous oceanic barrier that separated them and deliver to him those carefully sealed envelopes. Each letter they delivered was a prayer, an act of faith without an altar, a piece of soul sealed in paper. For weeks, then months, they persisted. Each one wrote every day, sometimes long letters, sometimes just a line. I thought of you today too. Each letter was a heartbeat. Each envelope, a bottle tossed into the sea of uncertainty. 3 months after the collapse, one of her letters began like this. It has not been a good day. I feel strange, dizzy, nauseous, but I don't want to stop writing to you. I don't want you to think I have forgotten you for even a second. The world had changed, and how? Borders had become stricter and routes were uncertain. But they didn't stop writing, because writing, in a broken world, was their way of continuing to seek each other. Writing was their map, their comfort, their only certainty. They were not a legend, nor news, nor heroes of anything or anyone, just heroes of themselves and their love. They were just two people who had promised each other something before the world fell, and they were keeping that promise. They do not know if any letter arrived, nor do they know if either one ever read the other's response. But each letter they wrote was an act of resistance. Each sealed envelope was a way of saying, I am still here. And the silence, no matter how brutal, could never completely silence them. They still write, even if they don't know if there is someone on the other side, even if they no longer know what day it is, even if they don't exactly remember the other's voice. They still write, because somewhere in the broken world a letter is still on its way, and maybe, just maybe, it will still reach its final destination.